The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
It's Friday, blah, 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 Friday. Oh, here come the dislikes. Boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Something to think about, though, that obnoxious-ass song. That song first started ticking people off in 2011, springtime-ish. It's now 2016, springtime-ish. Yay, that's a 5-year-old annoying song. Whatever. So here's what we have to play with here. Everything is here in time for the weekend. Sweet! So Good Friday is good for more than just the usual reasons related to the holiday and any observances and things like that. But I won't be going to any services tonight because we've got some work to do. This may have just taken all the fun out of my weekend, but if I can surprise my folks with this thing on Easter, that'll be more than worth it. So, what we have here is a Lenovo HD50-50 Enos. Enos. Yeah, the Enos machine has arrived. Grow up already, those of you who find it's funny. But by the way, yeah, those of you with the juvenile senses of humor, yeah, it's probably a good thing that someone my age is doing this, because you rewind the clock 20 years, some of the folks I went to school with, they would probably have never even gotten it out of the box. They would have been like, Enos, Enos. So yeah, we're staring at what looks like a nerd hall here, except this isn't all for me, and this isn't all for the folks. So the computer's not for me, so it's going to be a very different experience with an off-the-shelf system. If there's warranty stickers, we're not going to break them, so we might not even pop the case open, for crying out loud. Not so sure I want to avoid the warranty on this thing, but yeah. And we also have to be sure we can put everything back in the box. Back in the bags, back in the box, back in the styrofoam. Keep the packaging all nice and neat. So I can put everything back in the box, take it to the folks' place, and they can worry about throwing everything out instead of me. So, they're already going to reimburse me for this. Maybe a little good presentation will get me a tip or something from this. Yeah, maybe I can make some money off the deal. Right. I'm already saved the money by getting him a standardized desktop for sub 300 like this. Anywho, so for accessories, we have a Rosewell USB 56K modem, because sadly, they're still using dial-up. Yeah, I know. I've had this discussion with my dad so many times, but he insists, it's $10 a month. So, sadly, we're going to be putting AOL on this thing before this is all over with. The question remains, do we want to make a recovery media for the Lenovo stuff, whatever is on here in terms of bloatware? We probably will anyways, but do we want to have this stock out-of-the-box Windows 10, or do we want to blow everything away and put regular Windows 10 on there and install things afterwards to get rid of the bloatware that way? So we just got to figure that out. First, we got to get everything out of the box, and 2 SSDs here, A-Data, 120 gig, those are for me. Figured I'd have a little bit of fun if I was buying stuff from Newegg like this modem. So, this is actually gonna get my portables solid state again. Plus, I'm curious about A-Data because the Tech Syndicate guys are saying nice things about this stuff. So back in the Newegg box with the SSDs, we'll worry about those later. Okay, so here's what we have to play with. Let's get this thing out of the box carefully, because we want the folks to be throwing out the packaging, not me. Enos! First, included peripherals. I don't think we're even going to take these out of the packaging here. We got a chiclet keyboard, non-standard design, so I wouldn't want to use this, but my dad still types 2 fingers, so he might actually want to use this. So we'll leave this in the bag. We'll leave that in the bag, and of course we have power cord and a mouse. I don't think I'm going to need most of what is in here. I think I'm just going to have to cut open the one with the main system underneath there, and then do everything with my own peripherals and put everything back in the box for it to go later on. The mouse looks pretty decent, standard optical mouse. it'll be up to my dad to decide whether he wants to use it or not. It's kind of got a little bit of a hockey puck type thing going on, but I don't need any more mice. Maybe he'd rather have the spare than me. So I've got two IntelliMouse Explorers. I've got that one from last year that lights up all blue, $10 mouse, and I've got the 750 mouse from Monoprice. It's actually the best one. Okay, let's get the peripherals off to the side and very carefully get the system out of the unit. Get the unit out of the box. Whatever. And right. And save the packaging so they can throw it out and not me. Size comparison to the Delosaurus, so the Delosaurus can make a cameo in this video. The Delosaurus is taller, the Lenovo is fatter, and I think the Delosaurus is like bigger this way-ish or something, but that thing is like 15, 16 years newer, so yeah, anyways. The Lenovo is powered by a Core i3-4130, the first Core i anything I've ever had in this geek house. So, yeah, they're kind of facing away from each other because they don't really get along, I don't think. That's quite alright. I'll put the Delosaurus on the floor for now. It can go back to doorstop duty for the time being. Once we finish unplugging everything, I think I'm going to grab the peripherals from over here to plug into this thing, because I don't want to put any wear and tear on the built-in keyboard and mouse. Heck, I'm going to break one of my most, closely, dearly held rules and not even peel off the shipping plastic. So, my folks will be the ones doing that when this thing arrives at its final destination at the folks' place. Alright, let's put the Delosaurus somewhere where it won't be jealous of this thing. I like this thing already. If I was buying an off-the-shelf system, it would either be something like this or an Asus M32. So this is what we have to play with here. There is an optical drive hiding in here for those programs that my dad has that still use the discs for whatever reason. But the big reason why I'm doing this for him is to give him an upgrade path, basically. So he can start with this, and then if he wants to replace or upgrade anything later on, he could always just, start working on this. I already can see an upgrade path for this. I think these might be USB 2s, they're not blue, so I don't know if every USB 3 is blue, but the problems begin, however, when you head around the back. Now, here's one of the reasons why I got this. Regular power supply. It's not like a laptop thingy or anything. However, these fans are not 120 millimeter. So if you try to cool this thing beyond, what the Core i3, if you try to put a graphics card in this thing, it might not work too well, might be too thin for some graphics cards. Here's a 120 millimeter fan. It is physically massive. This is a 120. It is physically massive. That's got to be an 80 or a 92. Either way, it's way too small for me. If we bust out the 140s, here's a 140 right here. I mean, the 140 millimeter fan practically takes up the entire back end of the system. So Monolith is going to run off a 140 mil fan's standard. And this is obviously not even close. So yeah, low-end system, low power, Core i3, but at least it has screws that aren't set screws or anything. I'm not really nope, there is a warranty sticker right here, I think. I don't think this will come off. We don't want to be ripping any warranty stickers, but let's shine a light in through the fan grill and have a look at what's inside this thing. Interesting. Actually, that was not a warranty sticker. Sweet, it was just a big warning sticker or whatever, contact point, I don't know. So here's what we have for handiwork coming straight out of the factory. So the drive is mounted like that, sideways, so not really good in terms of mounting hardware, although I could probably squeeze another drive up here, or maybe is there a way to squeeze an SSD in here? Maybe with a 2 to 3 bracket or something, but it uses the bottom screws on the hard drive in order to mount in. Serial ATA cables going all over the place. Does have some room for some of that. They were smart enough, though, to put a 90-degree one on the drive. And I say that because this power supply sucks. It's like sub 200 watts. The good news is, though, it doesn't look like the size of the case is proprietary. Here's an Antec 350 watt from about 10 years ago, and it looks like it would fit. If I mounted this, the screws would fit. It looks like the screws are in the right spot in order to fit those 4 screw pins right there. So if this thing doesn't pull its weight properly, we actually could upgrade this sucker to 350 watts right off the bat. So, and it would be, here. So this would be right about here, and there would be a tiny bit of room, but thanks to those 90-degree cables, upgrading the power supply for this thing is an option. And I've got this 350 watter sitting around with nothing better to do. So I also have an Enermax 400 something from even further back. The unfortunate problem with this power supply, no support for graphics cards for additional PCI Express connectors for a fancy-ass graphics card. Let's put that on top of the Delosaurus for now. Some AVC cooler or something or another. I think this is an 80mm cooling fan, and then these are 92s from the size of it, if the 120 is way bigger than that. So there's also the antenna for the Wi-Fi, a little bit of antenna in there. Of course, my dad doesn't have Wi-Fi, but it's interesting that this thing does do Wi-Fi, so if he really wanted to, he could put this thing in a suitcase, take it to a library with a flat panel display, and put it on the Wi-Fi if he could find a place to plug it in. Oh man, I better not give him any ideas. He just wants this thing for email. So expansion slots, PCI Express, we could theoretically put a graphics card in this thing. Unfortunately, that power supply is going to choke the minute there's any kind of graphics card in here, so definitely have to upgrade the power supply before we can go playing with games on here besides the onboard graphics on the Core i3. PCI Express, just a couple PCI Expresses going down, and this looks like a nice standardized computer. That's why I got it. No screwy proprietary nonsense, except maybe that motherboard connector right there. Yeah, okay, nuts. No, my 20-pin, yeah, not in a million years. I'd have to see what kind of power supply this would take. But, probably have to get some kind of adapter to go from 20 pin down to whatever those pins are, or at least match the voltages somehow. So, I'm sure it's out there. If I can think of it, someone on the internet is probably trying to sell it somewhere. Just a little Molex adapter to go down from 20 pin to there. There's enough room to fit a proper power supply in here. It's just that, yeah, nice cooler, nice stock cooler for a Core i3. We'll have to put CPU, we'll have to put core temp on this thing and see what it rocks for temperature. However, look at that fan thingy down there. There's what we have, there's our focus. Look at that, bent pins on one of the fan connectors already. So, well, it's not like you can put another fan on this anywhere. Not like you'd want to with the limited cooling in this case. Very entry level. It's obviously meant to be passively cooled, and this thing up top, well, zoom it out and get rid of that thing for the focus. Obviously, the heat collects up here, it gets sucked in and blown out. So, ATX standard-ish from like 10 years ago or something along those lines. Not so sure about that motherboard though. 4 gigs of RAM, looks like it has 2 slots. I don't know if it's I think it's probably DDR3. I think we could probably DDR3 that bastard. And yeah, that's what we have to play with hardware-wise. Interesting that there wasn't a warranty sticker on the case, but I guess, you know, they assume you sell some kind of regular thing like this. You sell something like this with it as standardized as it is. Of course, it's going to be just begging to be modded. So, the question is there an adapter that will go from that plug to 20 pin if we want to upgrade the power supply in this thing? Because this is sub 200 watts. I don't think this is going to power this thing with a graphics card. We'll see how it runs. Okay, we're all back together now. A little thing here going in by the drive bays and things like that. Lenovo! Hey, Lenovo, how you doing? The sad part is I do have a 92 millimeter fan. Sorry, it's Friday. I do have a 92 millimeter fan that I could theoretically put in this thing, but I have reason to believe this Core i3 is probably going to run cool enough that the power supply can do all the cooling. So, plus I don't want to have to put a 10-year-old fan in this brand new computer. And be like, well, hack jobbing like a bumper from a 1970s car onto one of the plastic things they call cars nowadays. You're right, anyways. How about we actually power this thing on and see how it works? Wires going every which way. Yeah, it's a little hack job, but it's gonna work. It's like the two computers, it's like the tuxedos giving this Lenovo a horsey ride. Anyways, yeah, so Tuxedo would absolutely tower over this Lenovo. Enough of the bad jokes. So here's how it's gonna work. Probably gonna shut down Tuxedo for this to get the full experience, but I'm going to be using the Silver Bullet's peripherals, because the Silver Bullet is out of commission until the LTS for Ubuntu next month, comes out next month for April of 2016. So let's hack job this and decide, well, we do have to make the recovery media for the bloatware, just in case Dad wants it. Otherwise, fresh install a Windows 10 and rock and roll. Plus, we got the kilowatt ready to go amidst the mess on my desk as usual. Half a watt standby power with nothing turned on. So this is going to be a little bit of a hack job setup, as you can tell. We're using the front ports instead of the back ports, although it is already on the network. And this thing is going out through its HDMI in the back into the auxiliary HDMI on the television, who then sends the sound out through an optical thingy over to the AV receiver. We might not even get surround sound. My dad doesn't actually watch movies on his computer, so he's not going to care. Interestingly enough, this entire silver thing right here is the button for the optical drive. Handy that. And it looks like it's actually a burner-ish something. DVD only though, no Blu-ray support, although we could mod that if he really wanted to use this thing as a Blu-ray player. Alright, let's fire this thing up. Probably shut Tuxedo down for the full experience. Tuxedo is now off. First boot time in 3, 2, 1, go. Yep, CPU power supply doing all the cooling. Any beeps? No beeps. Just Lenovo. And the mouse lights up, because it's working now. So it looks like it's going into Windows 10, kind of like what I have for Toshiba, actually. So you have the little swirly thing, and then it loads up Windows? How long has it been since the what's-their-names tried making Lindos, a Linux port that was supposed to run Windows apps? I really should have wiped down the TV. Looks like my previous attempts to clean the screen were for naught. So, we got Lenovo, and we've got the alternate peripherals going, and next to no noise from this thing, although there's a big light that lights up for the hard drive. 500 gig hard drive, we have to run Crystal Disk Mark on it. The first thing we need to do is we need to be able to restore this thing from scratch. I will register it in my dad's name, but I will put my account on there for the purposes of messing around with these videos and stuff. So, we'll give him some kind of basic password or something like that, and send it along in an email that he can print out for when he plays with this thing. So, tick-tock, 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 tick-tock. Here's what I want to know as this thing continues to boot. So, first order of business. Is hybrid boot going to work on this thing? Hybrid boot does not work on Tuxedo because the sound card predates Windows 8. So I get sound issues if I use hybrid boot. So let's see how this works. Oh, looks like standard Windows 10 Blue here. Hi! We're setting things up for you! Where have I seen this before? We're doing this with a mechanical drive though now, so it is going to be slower. Question is, how much slower? Maybe I should take the time to clean the darn screen off while it's loading. This might take a while. I wonder, it's the Core i3 with no graphics card, and it's running off a mechanical hard drive on a sub $300 computer. Gee, I wonder. Yeah, well, why don't we check the kilowatt while we're at it? It is hitting the 50 watt mark, but you consider that my systems won't go below 80 watts because of all the power under the hood, or hammer under the bonnet, as they used to say back in the old Top Gear days. But it's floating in the 30s from the looks of it, unless the processor really ramps up. We will be putting core temp on it during the experimentation phase. So I do need to get a USB 3 hookup thingy going somehow, so you can transfer, I'm actually going to put my Steam library on this thing, and we'll do some fiddling with that. For now, though, we just got to get this thing up and running. That'll be a video, and then we'll do more messing around afterwards. There'll be tons of WWMJ this weekend, which means I really need to work on that truncated intro that I've been working on. I do realize that the intro to WWMJ drags a little because of the 10-year thing, so I don't want it to totally be, hey, look, 10 years, ain't that something? So, alright, anyways. When next we meet, we will be in Windows, I think. Okay, we are in. We have a pretty looking Lenovo picture. And it's Windows 10, basically. And I've already found the program for making the backup. So, Lenovo Rescue System. Yay, an image program! Although it's not really necessary now that we've connected to the internet and we can reinstall regular Windows, but I'm gonna do the Lenovo branded stuff as well. Probably DVD that sucker if possible. And then, of course, as predicted, 50 bazillion updates. Of course, I could already tell just from what the Windows Start menu looked like that it was out of date, so... Windows 10 Home, interesting. I thought this had Windows 10 Pro on it. At least that's what the website said, but, who cares? Windows 10, he doesn't need the business features anyways, but, Windows 10 Home it is. We'll do our testing and whatnot after making the backup image. And just like that, it's hours later. I knew this would take a really long time, but every single other update except the Windows 10 update downloaded and installed. And waiting for it to download, I actually lost the video system because of issues with the HDMI handshaking between the system and the television. Fortunately, my dad's going to be using the old blue plug until he gets an HDMI monitor, but at least he has the option. Anyways... So yeah, I've actually had so much time in the middle of this computer fest waiting for these things to download that I've actually had time to put together most of the darn video. I've already watched and edited in the music and the whole night. Well, zoom out. I've already edited in the background music and all kinds of other stuff for the entire video up to this point. It's insane! I've had this much time because it's taken this long to download the updates. This must be gigantic. This is one of the reasons why I volunteered. I said to my dad, hey, you want to, if you have some ginormous updates, let me, bring it over and we'll toss it on the broadband and update it for you. Just stop by my place and, well, it's a little bit more of a drive now for him to come visit me, but it's, not insanely like road trip or anything, so he could probably squeeze that in. See, the big problem with these Windows 10 updates, these OS updates, is that they have to be done in one shot. This thing has already started over. This thing has already started over once already. And it's at halfway, and it's coming down with Uverse. With a Uverse connection, I'm still sitting here and I have plenty of time. I could have probably redone the crap-top solid state by now and been working on the crap book with the SSDs. Anyways, while this finishes up, I just wanted to explain a few things. For one thing, I'm exhausted. I had a terrible week at work, once again. The guy I work for continues to push me closer and closer to the door. Massive change from earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to give me a hint that maybe things aren't going to be so, I don't know. But then there's another manager who gave me an actual recognition card today, so I really don't know what to think anymore, but the thing is, I was given all kinds of compliments before the layoffs, so I have to take everything with a grain of salt. Just because of the crap that I've been through in the last couple of years. Nonetheless, it was a rough day, ending a rough week. I'm definitely behind on sleep. I could go to sleep right now if I wasn't in the middle of this nonsense. I mean, seriously. I guess it's not like... well, the reason why this bothers me is because at work, we have a big problem right now with images not being up to date. We try to re-image a Dell Optiplex to use as a digital signage computer, and it restarted about 3 or 4 times from all the Windows updates. It's absolutely absurd. The images are probably at least a year old, if not more, with that much major update stuff going on just from scratch, trying to set up a computer. Regardless. So yeah, I'm exhausted. I probably shouldn't even be doing this, but I want to have some kind of fun tonight. Like actually make the recovery media before calling it a night. But I don't know why this is taking so long. Is it the processor? Is it the broadband? Is it the home network? Is it whatever? I mean, we're only drawing 31 watts with this system, but there has definitely been... See, I see old clunkies running now, too, for Pete's sake. That's how much later it is. But definitely this... definitely some Friday-itis from what I've heard in the dialogue so far with some of the stuff that I've goofed up, like the fact that it's a Core i3-4170 or something like that. I don't follow my Core i3s very much, so heck with it. I've seen it in a couple of laptops before. This is the first time I've seen this kind of processor in a desktop. Now, if I don't doze off, I'd like to at least make some recovery media tonight, if that's possible with this Lenovo. Haven't heard back from Dad yet. Hopefully the eMachine that he's been running into the ground didn't die tonight. But I guess we have another clip to add to the video now, so We're making this sucker in real time. I should play some World of War... Well, no, big ass download. That would kill my latency. Shoot. Yeah, right. Redo the crap top while this is going... Whatever. Dude, just shoot me already. 76%. Just watched that clip yet again, and this thing is barely moving. And nothing's downloading either. There's nothing that's getting in the way. So why don't we get some of our ducks in a row here while we wrap things up. I think I'm probably just going to leave this thing going overnight at this point, so I won't be any better than my dad with dial-up when all is said and done, leaving these giant updates downloading overnight. I mean, when exactly was this thing manufactured that it has these many updates to Windows 10? Which is exactly why I am going to make the recovery media afterwards. Because if, say, the drive gave out on this thing later tonight, I could still do a blank Windows 10, OEM Windows 10, or regular Windows 10, and not any of the Lenovo stuff. I don't know what Dad's going to think of the bloatware anyways, but it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look like, it's not like, say, Wild Tangent or anything like I've seen in years gone by, where every computer wanted to give you a Wild Tangent. Here's all these stupid-ass shovelware games for your brand new computer, which, yeah. So let's get our ducks in a row here. For one thing, Lenovo H50-50 90B700 Enos. Powered by Core i3 4170, 500 gigs, 7200 RPM, hard drive, 4 gigs of RAM, Windows 10 desktop computer. Maybe it was the Newegg one that mentioned that I was looking at a Newegg SKU of this too. Maybe the Newegg one actually mentioned having Windows 10 Pro. That's probably what was going on. That's why I mixed them up earlier. So, I mean, this says Windows 10. This one says Windows 10. And it was probably the Newegg version of this that had Windows 10 Pro. Also worth noting, a lot of the tracks you're hearing tonight are by Silent Partner. Silent Partner is probably one of my favorite YouTube audio library composers of all time. I have so many tracks by Silent Partner. I was listening to all the Silent Partner tracks while all this was going on, and it was like a veritable who's who of YouTube audio library tracks that I've liked over the years. So kudos to Silent Partner for all that good music. It's like Ethan Mikesell with the metal. Silent Partner is all over the map. So a lot of the music you're hearing tonight is all those new Silent Partner tracks that I added to my YouTube audio library. Did hear back from Dad. He doesn't have any idea how this works. He's thinking backwards. He's thinking he wants to drop his computer off here instead of me going over the folks' place on Easter. I don't think he gets that this thing has USB 3. Well, yeah, USB 2 might still be something new to him. So we can transfer off a USB 3, transfer tons of files off the other system, and get them over on USB 3, either with thumb drives or hard drives. But I was going to bring my laptop, and we could do all kinds of utility work on there. So, yeah. So here's where this is going to go. I think at this point that this is not, that I should just leave this running overnight. I mean, it's not like it doesn't have any security software. It came with the McAfee that comes with all of these new machines. And it actually ran its update. McAfee actually ran its update while it was doing all of this. So it's already been updated. So there is some semblance of antivirus on here, and it's behind a couple of hardware firewalls. So, actually, no, it's behind the main hardware firewall in terms of my home network. Could put Zone Alarm on it. Well, what a way to spend a good Friday evening, having to watch this indicator bar barely creep along. I mean, I think it would have at least gotten the update by now. How big is this update? So, regardless, sub $300, I'll make the recovery media after this is done, tomorrow if need be, but I feel like absolute garbage right now. So, let's actually see if the Lenovo program allows for creation of DVDs while this is downloading. I won't actually start the job, but I just want to see what's going on here. Now this thing is just trolling me. Stuck at 23%, preparing to install. So what's going on? The answer? Nothing. No CPU. A little bit of memory. No disk activity either. 3%. Ooh. The computer takes around 1. I'm not staying up all night because this thing wants to be so sluggish like this. So yeah, the computer takes round 1. I'm going to wrap this video up, and we're actually going to get a chance to mess around with this thing tomorrow. And I will be sleeping without an alarm. Why? Because I can. I'm not going to make the same mistake as last week where I actually set my alarm heading into a Saturday. That's how burnt out I was because of work. So, yeah, this has been fun, but also very exhausting. Not the sort of thing I should have been doing on a Friday night, especially Good Friday. But at this point, I'll let it be its little trollish little self. And the video's already about 80% done. Just gotta put the remaining clips in and then put it together. So yeah, hours and hours later. But just imagine if my dad tried doing this over dial-up. What a nightmare that would be. He'd be returning the darn thing. So, that's why I volunteered to let him bring it over and put it on the broadband if he ever gets something like this, because this is disgusting. But hey, oh look, 24%, finally! Thanks, Windows. So, maybe it'll be done by sunrise. Regardless, I'm not losing any more sleep than I already have. Now, I'm not staying up half the night because this thing wants to be a piece of... well, it is sub $300, but... off-the-shelf systems, baby. Right, we'll finish the video. And maybe get some better installation media for Windows 10 for when I redo my portables later on. Don't know if it'll be this weekend, though, at the horrendous rate I'm going. Shoot. I think I'll just have the turd Shiba do the uploading, never mind the upload station. And this is where it ends. We'll pick this up tomorrow, and maybe actually get a chance to mess around with the machine. This is something to consider, though. You go to all the trouble to buy yourself a brand new computer and spend the entire day one experience updating Windows with Windows 10 because the OEM has outdated images or it sits in a warehouse too long, and electronics don't move very much when it's not like Christmas time. So this is at least as bad as the old images thing at work that I mentioned earlier. So here I am taking the blow because this machine, the day one experience is so terrible, and you basically can't even use your own brand new computer until day 2 because of this crap. Regardless, this thing's only still using like 30-something watts, so assuming the chair keeps popping, whatever, I'm pretty much incoherent at this point, so let's call it here. This is a total disaster. If this is what it means to buy a new computer nowadays, no wonder PC sales are down. This is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by, and good night.